Of course, we're going to be talking about England first and foremost. Just a quick overlook at the game. What did you make of it? Maybe weren't the way they started. Germany the better side, but a point, you think, fair?
Not really, no. I think Germany should have won the game.
Okay.
I think it's obviously a positive that England got the point and got the draw, and it shows good character to come back into it. Harry Kane again with his 50th goal. We'll talk about him more later in the show, but I think Germany were the better side, and it was just a flat performance, looked a bit tired. I think Sterling, Saka were a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Those two players are normally the ones that keep us going, and they're the exciting players. I think Grealish made a big difference when he come on. Yeah. I think he played extremely well when he came on. Probably deserves a start in the next two games. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed. It was a little bit boring for me, the game.
Let me ask you a question. Because I know it bothered me when I saw it. The two holders, again.
Yeah.
Did that bother you a little bit, or did you want to see him experiment and go maybe a little bit more for it?
I'm not a big fan of the two holders.
No,
I never have been, and I know it's worked well for England, for Gareth Southgate. I think when Jude Bellingham come on, I thought it made a big difference. I always like the one holding midfielder, whether it's Declan Rice, whether it's Calvin Phillips. I like the one, and then the other player next to him should be someone who can break the lines, be kind of a box-to-box player like Jude Bellingham did when he came on. I've spoken about James Ward-Prowse playing that role as well. I don't think, particularly when you're playing three at the back, you don't need two in front of them. I think against Hungary in particular, you need to let us express ourselves going forward. And I think we've got such an abundance of talent going forward. We're not seeing it enough.
You spoke there about the attacking players we've got, and listen, as I said, we want people to get in touch. 03717 22 3344. Just a quick one on Tammy Abraham. Now, I think we've seen this before, and it is a little bit of a trend, and we will talk about it a little bit more in depth. But you look at Dan Ings a couple of years ago. Well, no, even before that. Let's go back to Vardy. Yeah. Vardy was incredible. Wasn't really getting the game time for England. Yep. Ultimately ended up retiring from international football. Dan Ings had the season of his life for Southampton. I think he played a handful of games for England, some from the left wing. Tammy Abraham, fantastic season in Serie A again last season. Yep. Comes to international football, not getting a look in.
Yeah.
I mean, what is your answer to that?
All the players you've mentioned deserved more game time than they actually got. I think the biggest problem is how good Harry Kane is for England. I think it's the same when he's at Tottenham, how good Harry Kane is at Tottenham. It's hard to find at Tottenham a player to come in and play second fiddle to Harry Kane. I think it's the same here. But with the 4 games in 10 days, Hungary, Germany, and now Italy and Hungary coming up, you'd expect Tammy Abraham to get a chance, particularly the Hungary game as well. And I'm not saying take Harry Kane off. If that's not what Gareth wants to do, don't take him off then. I don't know, him being so close to Rooney's record, is that making a difference?
It shouldn't do. Well, it shouldn't do.
It certainly shouldn't, but do you think Gareth Southgate's thinking, well, let's let him break the record now before the World Cup without putting too much pressure on him at the World Cup? It shouldn't make a difference, but when you're losing 1-0 to Hungary, you need to be bringing on players that's going to change a game. And the confidence Tammy Abraham will be having this from the season has just gone. Why he doesn't get a look in, I don't know.
Listen, Gareth, he speaks very well. One thing about him, he speaks really well, but sometimes I think he kind of skirts around the issue, and he says all these kind of fancy stuff. But first and foremost, Jack Grealish, I think he came off the bench, and maybe he is an impact subbed for England. I think he's got a fantastic ability. Maybe not at the best of seasons at City, but I think he'll be better next year. Yeah. But I think for the likes of Tammy Abraham, they've got to get an opportunity, and Jack comes on, he changes the game yesterday. Do you think that Gareth can't trust him? And when I say trust him, I'm talking about not when he's on the ball offensively. I'm talking about maybe he's doing his defensive responsibilities. Yeah,
I don't think Gareth's a huge fan of his attitude as well, of what perceives to be his attitude.
Of course, yeah.
And we don't know that. He seems a good guy. I just think he likes players that he can trust, as you said. Mason Mount's a prime example for that. And I'm not belittling Mason Mount as a player at all. I think he's a great player. He's had a great season. But I think his defensive responsibilities, Mason Mount, puts him ahead of Jack Grealish because he plays that role in terms of defensive-minded better than Jack Grealish.
What about the argument? Some people will say that Mason Mount's had a better season than Jack.
He has, and I think that's. But I don't think that comes into question. I think when Jack Grealish was at Aston Villa in the Premier League, having a fantastic season, still didn't really get a look in with England as well with Gareth Southgate. I just don't think. I think he's too attacking. I think he said that before. We were speaking off air that whenever someone asked the question about why is Jack,
what was going to say that?
why is Jack Grealish not starting more, or because he's playing really well, had a massive impact, he always comes back with a little negative answer. Yeah, but he has to be better at his defensive responsibilities, or he has to do this, he has to do that. I just think sometimes there's players and managers don't get on in like on the pitch, and I think those two are the two that don't.
You know what, quickly about Jack, I remember Lee Hendry talking about playing with Gareth Southgate, and he always used to feel like Gareth Southgate had a bee in his bonnet about him, Lee Hendry. Now, if you look at, obviously, Lee Hendry, Birmingham boy, Jack, Birmingham boy, there are similarities when Lee Hendry was younger to Jack now.
Yeah.
So I can understand where kind of Gareth's come from, although I'd like to see Jack play. Maybe it is that type of kind of character, because we're going to talk about James Maddison later, has had a fantastic season, probably better than all of them, and he can't even get in the squad. Yeah,
the problem is, social media plays a huge part. I don't know how prevalent that is to Gareth Southgate, but we see when the Man City won the league, Jack Grealish was out, he was enjoying himself as he should, and a lot of criticism was coming his way for going to enjoy himself. And if that's anything to do with it, not social media, but if Gareth's looking at that thinking, no, we've got a few games coming up now, he should be at home, he should be resting this, I think attitude comes into it for sure, particularly with Gareth Southgate.